Hello and welcome to this week's episode of TLDR CLG. This is the week of March 23rd, 2015, and my name is Brendan. Here are my hosts, Cry and Jim. And Jim's being a little...
Hello.
So we're going to be hopefully editing that out. But then we're going to be talking about what happened this week in law for CLG. So, what happened? We totally beat Dig, and we totally lost to TSM.
I thought we crushed TSM.
Expound. What the hell?
What?
Yeah, what are you talking about? We won, right? Free SM.
It was all victories.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
This is CLG subreddit, man.
We're actually first place in
All
LCS.
victories.
Jesus Christ, the denials. just because Richie Hines went to denial doesn't mean you can just.
Yeah, this isn't CS:GO or Halo, dude.
Oh wow, nice pun.
There's no denial in League.
There is.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
righty. What happened?
Okay. CLG versus Dig, guys. Let's go.
I guess we took a dig at them and pushed them a little bit into the hole.
Oh, stop. Okay, legitimately though. Okay, so CLG won versus Dig, but they looked kind of shaky, to be honest. They weren't. They didn't seem to be exactly on point, which is saying something considering Dig's like a bottom tier team. I don't know. It just didn't look as solid as it should have.
That Baron though.
You mean like the 30 million they tried to call?
Hey, no, we only screwed up on 2, and there were like 5 Baron calls. Hey, I think that's 60%.
There were quite a few.
60% is not terrible.
Hey, at least Zingy didn't get to do one of the Zach drive-by smites. That would have been some hot shit. But in that actual game, like you look at the gold numbers, and I think the big one was that, and it's more evident in the TSM game, CLG's mechanical and mechanical play in general just was lacking, and the team, like the overall map movements. If you go watch the gold differences, CLG had a gold lead even though they were down like 6 or 7 kills. I think the first time that Dignitas gained a gold lead was like after another ridiculous high kill point in the game. Like they did not gain a lead even though they were getting kills. A note I had was that they were just CLG was sacrificing skirmish victories for objectives and farm, and you could see it across the board. All the farm totals on CLG were just higher, but in the end it was those farm totals and Dignitas eventually making a map play mistake that led to
a terrible game. It was just a terrible game. Let's not go into detail.
Yeah, no, there's not too much detail to go to. I mean,
it was like I watched it post after everyone was finished whining, and it was just like, this is disgusting.
I mean, as a Zach player, I liked a lot of it. Like it was very nice. Zingy made some really well-timed Zach ganks, and those are really nice.
And then he also failed like horribly.
I mean,
mid to late
Zingy had good presence. Zingy had good presence in the early and mid game. In the late game, he wasn't as effective.
Yeah, I mean that's arguable to say that like most lower tier teams have that problem as a generality. You're gonna have it if you're not winning games. You're probably a major factor. That's probably that your team has a hard time making impacts in the later half of the game.
But you know what team does make an impact in the late game?
Team Impulse.
Team Impulse.
And TSM, right? Right?
No, TSM's terrible late game.
Sure.
So CLG TSM.
Indeed.
Are we in Egypt? Because I sounded like you guys were swimming in denial.
Okay, whoever it was in the Reddit comments that was like, "Oh, Azure should get a dank meme thing, Player." Yeah, okay.
I'm totally not a memer. I'm not a memer.
You're a dank memer. You're right.
I thought you were the top laner of Super Hot Crew.
JWoww?
Memer.
No, memer's the coach. Jesus Christ. Get your
Super Hot Crew,
European.
Dude. Not your makers.
Okay, CLG versus TSM. Hey Jim, what did you think about the draft?
I was frustrated by the Rek'Sai pick mainly, but I think the draft was pretty good. It set up overall it was a team focused around pushing down towers early and using that global gold advantage to stall out to having a really strong late game, like a really strong team fight late game. It was just something that, as we know, they weren't able to reach, or were reaching at the end of the game, but like got crushed in so that it wasn't effective. Like you look at the last team fight, it worked. But overall, the draft, CLG was put in a weird position just because Flex picked Lulu first from TSM means that CLG is effectively going to be showing their picks in every subsequent round, because they have to show their support jungle, and then TSM goes their support jungle. Then they have to show their AD carry top lane. Then TSM gets to do their AD carry top lane. They picked into, like, they did not first pick anything into. The only thing that they picked as like a counter, or like got to pick the lane, was Ahri.
Diana, right? No, never mind.
It was Ahri into Zed.
Oh yeah, right.
Lulu.
A lot of people.
No, Lulu. The Lulu was technically.
Yeah, no, okay, you could say that the Lulu pick, yeah, as well.
Alright, top lane.
But like, okay, but the rest of the picks, the 3 internal picks were all.
But jungle doesn't matter. AD carry kind of.
Well,
matters.
I think jungle does matter. To a lot, jungle does matter.
Yeah, no, jungle definitely mattered in that game.
As a jungle player, jungle matchup matters hugely. Go watch Crumbs' video. Watch Crumbs' video.
They did a 2v1. They interacted like twice in the early game.
Yeah, no, but like they interacted
No, but like
that's
later
not all.
in the game,
That's not the only
fight.
reason why jungle picks matter.
Like,
you're not fighting each other. You're not fighting each other all the time. It's about how you pressure the map and predicting where the enemy jungler is. And if you are able to pick a jungler that has an impact that's less predictable, which in a way RXI does. But the thing is, Sejuani is, like a lot of people argue, she's OP. And like that was like a question of mine was, does Smithy not play Sejuani, or did they pick Rek'Sai for some sort of early advantage because she has map pressure, or was it to counter a split push on Zed?
Monty.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Monty had a VOD review. He did the Snake versus Beachy game, and he did the CLG versus TSM game, and he talked a little bit about the pick ban. He was talking about how yes, after, like, if you're doing like Janna Jinx, that makes sense a little bit in team fights, but then your main initiates on Aftermoon, and he's not impressed with anyone else initiating. And additionally, he's saying that Rek'Sai is a very strong pick, saying that the tremor sense and the split pushing and the late game avoid and the late game void assault really gives her a lot of power at the moment. So I can understand why they picked that. But I think because Zion's champion was so impacted by the ban, so like Maokai, who else banned? Maokai, Hecarim, and one more. I can't remember what it was. No, Maokai, Hecarim, and there's one more top laner that was banned.
There was another top laner. It's just not in my head right now.
There's TSM. I can't remember it in my head. God damn. Maokai, Hecarim, because we banned Maokai, they banned Hecarim, they banned Jesus God. Sion, yes, Sion. They banned Sion. So that was already 3 champions out of his pool. They first picked Lulu. Morgana technically can be a flex pick top lane. I don't think so. That's already technically 4 champions out of Zion's pool. So this Kennen would technically have to be like maybe his 4th or 5th best pick. So I think that was like maybe a limiting factor, because I don't think Zion could play 6 or 7 champions.
But no offense. Either way, when it comes down to the draft, I don't think the draft is what like.
No, the draft didn't
decide the game. It wasn't like a horrible draft. There was TSM had a team that had a pretty heavy mid game spike on all of their champions, where CLG had a very heavy late game spike and had the ability to counter map plays because of Rek'Sai ultimate and having well-timed TPs. Yeah.
Also, speaking of that,
sure.
Continue. You first.
So back to the Monty thing. He did a really good breakdown. There's a lot of things that he pointed out that I think that were really that I didn't consider. He talked a lot about the lane swap. Talked a lot about how Darius like screwed up his lane because he could have taken his EXP instead of going to jungle follow. And there was a lot of ways that CLG could have like capitalized on their lead more after they got that first tower, and they didn't really push it as hard as they could have. And I think that if you guys want to like get another breakdown of the game, because we shouldn't be breaking it down, then you should look at Monty's breakdown. He talked a little bit about the Rylai's Zanya's thing, so I think Jim will have a couple words to say about that.
Yeah, it's someone who's played just a bit of Kennen and hated him for like permabanned him for way too long. There is a reason, like there is a good reason for picking up Rylai Scepter on Kennen. It's not an awful pick. One, namely, it's only 20 AP less than Zhonya's, so it's not like, as Monty said in his video, he's doing no damage. The damage difference, I went and did the numbers. I think it's negligible damage difference. It's up to like some like 60 something less damage that he can do to a single target using his entire combo, or to an entire team spread out 200 something damage. So it's not a huge difference, but the argument for it being a bad pick is that it doesn't give him that damage. It doesn't give him the Zhonya's active, which is what everyone really wants to see. That's what a lot of people like seeing. The thing is, Riley's got a buff on Kennen recently, and I think that's why a lot of people are picking him. I think picking it on him because I'm pretty sure I saw Quas run it recently as well on his Kennen. Yeah. And the reason you run it is because Kennen's ultimate now, when you press R, if anyone's within your ultimate range, you can activate your W, and even if someone doesn't have a passive stack on them, it puts a passive stack on them. It procs the W on them automatically, which applies the Riley's slow onto them. So,
I'm not sure if it's an AoE or if it's single target though. So
I'm not sure if it's a 35% or 15%, but overall,
it's still sizable slow.
It doesn't do much less damage, and in their specific situation, if you map out the damage sources of TSM and you're saying like, we want to have, let's say, him be a tank, well, it's pretty even damage split. So going armor from Zhonya's isn't the most effective way to stop damage, and getting 400 health off of Riley's is pretty useful as a damage mitigation. On top of that, I think he maxed his E, which is going to give him armor and magic resist as well. So health gets really highly affected in that point. But overall, it's an item that's been buffed on him recently. It doesn't do awful damage. It's not an awful pick. There is ways to say that it's suboptimal, because in a way, if you build Zhonya's, you can go another damage, like a heavy damage item right next, so that you can flash alt Zhonya's and have another damage item next. Whereas when it became those late game fights, I think the big late game fight, he flash alted Zhonya and had Riley's Zhonya's and like blasting wand and an amp tome, which just doesn't do as much damage as not having the Riley's and having like a void staff or something else would. But yeah. I think I trust Zion on it. I think the build is not a bad build path, and saying that he's doing no damage is more on his mechanical positioning and landing spells rather than the item build itself. It's pretty straightforward.
I'm just on the Zanya thing. It's easier.
Oh yeah, it's easier. Honestly, it's in a way more flashy. Like it's not a bad item. It's good rushing a lot of the time, but he had a reason to choose the other one, obviously.
So back to Cry had something you want to add before I finish my stuff. So.
It's just that during that game in particular, it felt like whatever play CLG had the opportunity to make, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for them. Also, I feel like just watching the game, it feels like the games that CLG have been playing, they have been just simply waiting for the enemy team to make a mistake, and then I'll rotate them. But in this case, they just weren't able to, because TSM were able to beat them in terms of that. Right. So I don't know. It feels like a very, I don't know. I might not be getting the entire picture, but it feels like a very reactive kind of thing.
I think one thing, if you went and watched, Link had an interview recently, in which he went and said,
the SK guy.
I don't know if it was the SK. I think it was with Moon.
I think it was the girl, Moonstruck, not the blonde hair.
What had happened? This was post the Dignitas game, and he had mentioned that they took 4 days off, and that was much more hindering on them than they had thought. And I think what he meant by that was mechanical individual play, and that, my opinion, was they positioned themselves well and set up reasonably good fights. Yeah, Monty would be frustrated just because the rotations weren't perfect, the plays weren't perfect, but the mechanical play was what frustrated me, because you're watching this and you see Link miss several charms that I would have hoped him to hit. One of them at in the fight at Dragon, where they could have ended up winning the game. One of his charms, he got super unlucky, quite literally, because Scuttle Crab spawned as the team fight was about to get started, and Lustboy walks towards Dragon Pit in and around behind the scuttle crab, and Link can't shoot his charm directly at him because the crab's in the way. And,
also, in terms of like their comp,
he misses
they had already set it up so that Link would be behind, and they were just hoping to put Zion ahead, like to compensate for that, right? But the entire time, well, I mean, that's what they were counting on.
Yeah.
But like in terms of that, even aside from that fact,
he wasn't put behind. He wasn't like.
No, but
he was intentionally
CLG wasn't expecting him to get ahead. They were expecting to get Zion ahead to compensate for that.
Yes. No,
they weren't expecting to put him behind. They just put him up as an.
No, they were doing it in a way intentionally. Like if you look at his positioning on the map, you see Ahri out of lane and not able to farm more often, and attempting to help on pressuring to make Lulu further behind.
Yeah.
And the idea is they relieved pressure on Bjergsen, allowed Bjergsen to farm by having Ahri do things, and put pressure on Lulu. And whenever and TSM put pressure on Ahri. So in a sense, the role positions should have been Lulu's in a shitty position, Ahri's in a shitty position, Kennen's in a very strong position, and Zed's in a very strong position. But what ended up happening was Zed's lead just grew further and further, whereas Sion's lead did not pick up as far as it could have. And I think, honestly, I think that didn't happen quite literally because of some mechanical plays and not setting up team fights. Like quite literally that same Dragon team fight.
I was talking.
Yeah. Anyway, that same Dragon team fight. I think Kennen's ult hit like 1.5 people. It hit like 1 tick on.
That team fight though. His ult like just zoned. It didn't actually do anything. It just zoned.
But there's no primary initiate. They're using Kennen as the primary initiate, which is hard to do if everyone has flash up.
Yeah, it's just like again, there was I think there were mechanical misplays, and that was what's frustrating. And I think that's what, like, honestly, you can gain from this game. Both teams, actually, there were a lot of mechanical misplays on TSM as well, but Bjergsen played quite well and was able to single out Rek'Sai and flip CLG's like team dynamic of like secondary engaging with Rek'Sai on top of Kennen ultimate. They just destroyed Rek'Sai before Rek'Sai could do that onto stunned Kennen ultimate targets. They killed Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai couldn't do that. And now Kennen's going to die effectively automatically when his Zhonya's ends. And they're just going to re-engage on the rest of the team. And in the team fight that it really mattered, there was a Sejuani ult that hit 4 members. So honestly, it's just some mechanical misplays, and CLG... on top of that, there were map rotation issues. They lost control. Like that Baron was very disappointing to see, but I mean, what more can you do? Like, they could have had better ward coverage or had Zion TP to make that TP to one of the wards behind them, but they didn't have the knowledge or vision. You can maybe blame Smithy for not being close enough to have the tremor sense go off, but at the same time, he was worried because they had their 2 carries, their 2 strongest players back in their base. Like, there's a lot to say.
Also, it was probably because of what you said in that interview with the whole 4 days off, but just the players individually, their play just looked frazzled.
Yeah.
They looked lost, to be honest. Not even. I mean, also as a team, but also just individually, their plays, they looked kind of lost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going a little bit heavy on the analysis. We're not supposed to be.
Okay, well, yeah, but that's just a thing to talk about.
But honestly, I think forward they're going to make up for it.
I think it's a really interesting discussion to have. I think that a lot of resources are out there. We have the CLG subreddit with a lot of the different threads about how CLG.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's how CLG's like against Liquid, TSM, and C9. There's like 1 and 5 against same teams except for Impulse, C9, and TSM. They're 2 and 3. So like against the playoff teams, their record isn't the greatest. And I think that there's a lot of different worrying factors. We're going to be linking the Monte Cristos and breakdown with all the stuff, because that's a really interesting. Even if there's some things that are maybe a little bit skewed, there's a lot of things that you pointed out that like a lot of normal people wouldn't get. And we're going to be moving on to the Black versus Fusion thing.
Indeed.
Totally a clean game, no leakage, no Karthus strats, right?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, TSM Darkness.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing. So if you didn't know what happened, CLG Black, not TSM Darkness, CLG Black played against Fusion this week and went 0-2. And
as expected, because Fusion's a pretty strong team.
I mean, I don't know if it was expected. CLG had.
Well, I think they could have gone 1-1.
Fusion had been pretty strong, but here's the thing: that CLG had played against the teams that have better
records against them.
Have better records in the league earlier than like Fusion has a hard matchup this upcoming week. I think it wasn't that bad.
Okay,
I don't think it was that
still,
further
like,
in Fusion's favor.
It was like the most likely outcome because CLG Darkness is a little. CLG Black is slightly lower than them in the standings, and Fusion was looking actually pretty solid.
No, but like if anything else, people expected like CLG Black to be able to put up a fight and not get like OG.
Yeah.
The argument may be that since Westrice isn't there, they have had issues.
Well,
but either way, they went 0-2, which isn't like it's not too out of question just given that matchup since Fusion's looked stronger. The big thing was that there's a bit of a scandal to deal with it because quite literally there was leakage, as Brendan was saying, didn't happen. A coach or analyst, I cannot recall.
Ethan is the coach. He is officially titled as the coach for Team Fusion, and I think the Teaser T3AZER, previously known as Diamond, of X Team Confound, X Team TSM Darkness, was the substitute AD carry for TSM.
So what had happened between those two was that this coach of Team Fusion went and reached out to the player for TSM Darkness about their scrims against CLG Black and scrim strategies, or was able to. I don't even know if how he went about it, but he was in some way able to extract CLG Black's strategies. The thing is, I don't know like how in the fault the player for TSM Darkness was, because maybe he was just chatting with him and like this guy.
They gave him
put him in a compromise
of the scrim.
Okay, that's exactly what happened. That's
I was up at like 1 o'clock documenting all this stuff. So if you really want to know more about the situation, so you can go to the Reddit that we're going to be linking in. I literally have like 6,000 characters written about what happened in the situation. I have all the different like conversation written down, Hotshot's comments, Valoris is the owner of Team Fusion's comments. I have like I think Nintendo had a couple of comments on this as well. People have been asking about how like Valoris has stepped down as a moderator. Nian has innocent until proven guilty. We're not going to be doing anything to his player. So I think this is a lot of stuff that it's just let it go in the past. Like everyone's screwed up, whatever. It's like as much as there should be an outrage about it, there's no rule against it. So the only argument we would have would be on a moral ground.
Indeed.
So
that's about it in that game.
So, but additionally, there's a lot more development on the TSM side of things. So the TSM Darkness players are going to be pursuing legal action against Reginald for possibly.
They were let go by TSM.
Yeah, they were let go.
I haven't gotten to read the thread, but isn't there like a thread on the front page of r/lol saying like Thorin's the lawyer or something? What is that about?
That's a joke.
Express, mate.
Okay.
Esports Express. Don't ever.
No, I didn't get. I just saw the title. I didn't look at anything else. So.
Yeah, it's Esports Express. So don't.
It's
official.
Thorin is the lawyer.
Thorin is not representing them as a lawyer, but they're going to
It'd be funny if he was.
So that's an interesting development in the story. You guys can follow that on. I think I posted. It's all in the Reddit there. We'll put it in the links. So moving on to CS:GO.
Okay.
We played one game.
It was only it was a pretty like short week for CS:GO. What was it? We were versus Mythic on Luminosity. We were versus Luminosity on the Faceit League, and CLG won. It was a 16-3 on the Mirage map, and it was really funny though because it was a pretty close game. It wasn't like a raffle stomp on either side. CLG actually lost the pistol round. But then once it was the first actual like gun round, like they were able to take it back. They were like 0-3 at that point because they lost the knife round, the pistol round, and then what was the other one? No,
they lost. They lost the pistol round. The knife round doesn't count really.
It doesn't.
They lost the pistol round and.
They were down like 1-3, right?
Yeah.
They were down 0. Like they lost the first 3 rounds because they lost the pistol round. And then both teams were on a full buy round in round 4, and Finesse and Tarek got it. Like Finesse got into really nasty, like sneaky position, and was able to pick up a couple kills as all 5 members of Luminosity ran down
And
into
we
it.
will be talking about that in the Place of the Week segment, not here.
Not here, sure. But on other things,
but it happened in the CS:GO section. So.
Overall, it was a pretty tight game. Like, Luminosity had a pretty solid T side, and like more than enough.
CLG had a decent CT side.
Yeah, no what? Okay, see, you'd say decent.
One game.
I don't think so decent. The thing is, Luminosity is up and coming. A lot of people will give them a lot of credit, and I'll give them the credit where credit's due. They're not a bad team. They're definitely a good team in North America at this point.
Yeah.
But a team where we should say what the stature of CLG should be within North America, they shouldn't have lost as many CT side rounds as they did. Like, Luminosity got enough T side rounds, more than 5. I think it was 6 rounds. If you get that many rounds on T side, you should be very happy. You're like, okay, I'm set up. I can maybe do this. But yeah, either way, CLG has been, like, in a way known. Like, even against NIP, they had good T side. They execute strats pretty solidly on the T side of Mirage, and specifically, once they got their full buy and started, like, they had some anti-eco round issues on their CT side, and that's what was, like, getting it so close. And they had anti-eco issues a couple times, like a few rounds on their T side as well. But once they got their full buy going and got a couple rounds under the belt, they kind of just took over the game. And even though Luminosity took a couple rounds off of them, it wasn't enough to take out their money supply, and they just ended up.
They slowly grinded it out.
Yeah, they grinded out the victory. It was pretty straightforward.
All right.
There was really good play. There was really good play by, like, the kill spread was pretty even across the board.
All right, so we're going to be moving past the CS:GO segment into Halo. So a lot of people didn't know what happened. Everyone except me, because they didn't follow CS:GO or Halo. So there's scrims with Cloud. There's Iron Gaming Online, a 4v4. This isn't a part of the official circuit, but it's a separate tournament run by Iron Gaming, which was the host for Iron Gaming Columbus, is going to be the host for Iron Gaming Atlanta. So this was a 4v4 tournament. We had this is our first run outing with Cloud, and I think we did okay, but we lost to Team Randa. So in the grand finals after winning the first set. So it was a second place finish to Team Randa.
Second place.
Silver Age. Silver Age.
That's Hotshot's next color, by the way. He's just gonna, like, get gray hair.
Official. It's official.
Gray hair, Hotshot. So just like Silver Age. So then the players of Team Randa, like, people don't really know who Team Randa is. So this is like after the first season of Halo, a lot of the teams just, like, splintered up. So Ryan Noob was on Denial beforehand. Randa and Contra were on Noble Black. Contra was on Optic for like 3 months from January to March, and then Nated was on a smaller team, which was VVW. But these are all, like, players with tenure in the scene, except for, like, Contra and Randa. Like, Ryan Noob and Nated have been around since like 2006, 2007. So, like, these are like all, like, veteran players. So it's not like yes, they're a newer team, but then
stomped by a random team.
Stop. What? Did he just cut out?
I didn't. I'm just freezing here, just like to give you
give a nice freeze frame there.
Give you guys a freeze frame full of shame.
You're not gonna walk away like me.
Yeah, so we lost the grand finals 1-3. It was not really that fun. So, you guys have any thoughts on that, or do you guys not follow it at all?
I'm disappointed. I didn't know where to find the actual information on that one because I just followed the HCS site and I didn't see this this tournament listed anywhere. But
oh yeah, hey Brendan, just for CLG fans like us, like, we don't really know if it's not on the HCS site. Where would we look for information if we want to know what's going on?
It would have to be the subreddit, because the subreddit is we have a lot of creepy stalkers on the subreddit. So.
Okay.
Including you. So.
Hey, I totally those dank memes were not. I did not dig them up. They were in my, like, GIF folder.
Favorites bar.
No, I cleared them out of my.
It was on your hard drive.
I have them on a Google Doc. I have them on a doc somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I
And
rest
it's
my
like,
case, guys. I rest my case. Just.
I'm sorry, I'm not danking it. But then I have all these like memes that like stored away. You have like a double lift, like getting kissed by people.
And you said that you weren't a dank memer.
I'm not a dank.
I already said you're a memer, and you went and said that you're not a memer, but you're a memer.
He's a memer.
Stuck.
Confirmed.
Nice meme. Okay, continue.
Okay, moving on. CLG Plays of the Week. No!
Plays?
Run the clip. Run the clip.
He and Hayes not going to be rocking helmets. We have 2 Galils on Luminosity's side here, on Frost and Hades. We'll see if those bits of information will come into play later on. Look at this aggression here from CLG.
Oh my god, I can't believe that they actually managed to push this in time. They're catching all of them off guard. It's unbelievable. The spray in from Tarek, putting him down just to Flom, who has 9 HP.
Alright, so that play went great. I have no idea what happened. Go.
Stop.
Yeah, Finesse was able to get into a sneaky position and get 2 kills off, which was really cool because the enemy team Luminosity didn't expect it at all. Aha, ninja.
Yeah, it was a very important play because it was on that
First gun round, right?
First full buy round for like both teams, and Finesse was able to predict that they were going to go 5-man towards B apartments, and had Tarek there to back him up and clean up the rest of it. Like, that was the big part, was the fact that he picked up those 2 kills and they went in and killed him to at least get some sort of trade off of it, and them running into trade for it just set up Tarek to finish off 2 more of them, and one lit up guy on a terrorist side is not going to take a site.
All right, so back to, can you go a little bit more in depth to break down what happened? Because as a casual viewer of CSGO.
Oh, okay. Well, if you saw exactly what happened there.
Of sneaky, ninja, and shot people is not very.
Okay, sneaky ninja shot people. So if you see what happens in the clip, you see Luminosity side preparing with some grenades from outside of B apartments, setting
it's all
up
5 of them, by the way. So
all 5 of their players
lined up.
throwing grenades to a couple grenades across towards mid to set up either prevent rotations or make people make CLG think that they're going to go to a site, or at least have someone controlling mid. And so they set up all these grenades, and rather than be baited or anything by that TSM, or I keep thinking TSM, this is a shame. Maybe the TSM subreddit people will love me for it. Either way, CLG has Finesse get all the way up into B apartments, all the way down into the corner next to kitchen, so that he's hiding behind a corner that you can't see from the angle where they're setting up that play. The Luminosity players can't see. And Tarek is kind of covering him from another angle that can't be seen directly by that door, but can see the angle once they step through that door and go into Finesse's fire.
Line of sight.
Yeah. So basically they're holding crossfire on a position where in the end 5 players from Luminosity run into. And extremely important because this is the round where CLG just needs to get their CT side rolling.
Also, I think there's
another small thing that we didn't really talk about, because like there was a flashbang and FNS just like did a really quick switch.
Oh yeah,
really
he
nice.
read that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice.
I was like, I didn't even notice the smash flashbang until he turned, and it was a really great read, or a really great like reaction from him. Okay.
A lot of that was being in the right place at the right time. So the fact that he was able to sneak into that corner before any of them were able to see him, and the fact that he was able to predict that was a big thing in that play.
That's our in-game leader. Yeah. So moving on to the player of the week. Who would you put it as? Because I sure ain't giving it to anyone on CLG LOL.
Wow, what a hater.
I know, right?
I had Zion down for a while until I like really tightly watched the games. He had pretty strong mechanical play in the first game, though the second game it was disappointing. Just how he was able to line things up. I'll give it to him because I love the build. You know me. But other than that, I think you guys will agree with me that supports on CS:GO performed extremely well.
Cutler, FNS, and
Come on, you got it.
RTV.
What do I do to you in the past tense if you're joining my frat?
Hayes. Oh, I forgot Hayes. God. Oh God. Sorry, Hayes.
Hayes.
I was like Hayes. Oh God, I forgot about Hayes. So FNS, Cutler, and Hayes have been doing a really good job of propping up PTR and Tark and making them look good. And I think it's time that the supports get some recognition.
They had a very high score line in this.
They're playing really
match.
well.
Yeah,
But
it was in a way surprising because I guess it may have been because Luminosity was focusing so heavily on making sure they picked off and made beat Peter in fights and traded on him and traded on Tarek. Yeah. But at the same time, if you do that and the supports aren't just
useless pieces of meat.
Yeah, useless. Or they're just overall they're just pretty good players and they're
really good.
Yeah, they went and they all had extremely high score lines, and it was until near the end they were several kills up on both Peter and Tarek, and I think Tarek caught up to them by the end, but didn't edge them out. So supports all the way. I'll give it to Aframu also. All the supports.
Aframu, Yana, no, go.
I like it.
Let's see what happened to the last two TSM games where he played Janna. See how badly we got rolled.
He's a playmaker support. Don't put him on a babysitter.
Back to the whatchamacallit. I think that I may be giving a little bit of hate to CLG LOL, but then I think that Zion actually did really well this split so far in his tenure at CLG because he's not really played his main style. He's played tanks, he's played initiates, and he's really stepping out of his comfort zone. I think he's doing a really good job. And this week he had he's playing Kennen after Maokai Sion and Maokai Sion Hecarim are banned. He's this is, and Lulu gets taken, so he's 4 out of his 5 champion pools taken out. Maybe he can play Rumble, but then this is 5 or 6 champions deep, and he's still not playing terribly. And I'm really excited to see where this team goes. I'm cautiously optimistic because you know how CLG is.
Just saying, Riley's all the way.
Also, in terms of saying Zion's out of his comfort zone, I think we've reached a point where it's okay to say that he's relatively well-rounded. He's not a one-trick pony. He can hold his own on different kinds of champs. So
you can't play Hecarim?
He's a good player. Stop. Just stop. But seriously though, Zion is not everybody's oh yeah, Zion's only a split pusher. He only plays Jax. And while he is good at those champions, he's also not terrible at the others. So let's give him credit.
Yeah.
And Link is
give credit where credit's due, and this week it wasn't perfect. And
it definitely wasn't, but he
good.
Still deserves the credit.
Yeah.
And I think Link needs to get an honorable mention. He always gets a lot of flack and he always gets dumpstered. Whenever he does something wrong. But I think Link, he's done really good over the split. He's played 2 or 3 bad games. I think he's been a lot more consistent than normal. And I think that it's really we need to point that out sometimes. Link's not a shitter, as everyone likes to say. I would rather have Link than every other mid to any. I would rather have Link than every other mid to any LCS except Bjergsen. And that's
okay.
And for everyone saying CLG Incarnation, that guy has to get unbanned first.
Sure.
And I would rather have a team that's friends and even though they may not be crushing everyone, I'm glad that Link is really stepped up his game and he's proved us. And then he's proved my doubts wrong. I was doubting Link to do anything.
Either way,
I think he's really stepped up.
Either way, we still have another week of LCS left, and in that week we have CLG playing against the 2 teams that have the best records in the second half of the split. Both of them are 6-1 in the second half of the split so far.
So that's going to be our segue into LoL because we.
Yeah, next week. So
thanks for making the segue obvious, good friend.
You have to make the segue as obvious as possible. So when I do the timestamps, which no one else in this freaking chat does.
Oh.
Otherwise, it's hard.
Oh yeah.
Jim.
I'm hard.
Stop.
This is we need to retake this. This is good.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, fine, it's fine. So 6-1. So teammate.
No, Slushy has been looking quite strong.
Let's talk about this actual the way he's talking about earlier, how the last half of the split.
Well, quite literally, it's pretty straightforward. CLG is 4-3 partly because they've played against they've played against the only team that they played against again that they didn't lose to the first time. Like their 3 losses are to Cloud9, who they beat the first time, TSM and Team Liquid, both of which they lost to the previous times. So they're 4-3. We haven't played against these teams. These teams are teams that we beat the first half of the split. So maybe part of the reason their score is so high is because they both haven't played CLG yet. In any case, they're teams that are looking on the up and up, and that's something scary because you look at the rest of the teams. They're 2 6-1 teams. That's CLG's last couple of games. There are most of the other teams are 4-3. There's like a 5-2, and like there's a nice thread on it and all that jazz. But in general, TIP and Team 8 in the second half of the split are the teams to beat.
Ramping up.
Other than just in standings wise. A lot of people were making the prediction that Team Impulse is likely to be in the top 2 by the end of the split. So who knows? CLG may get knocked out. That's not an awful prediction.
Mm-hmm. So talking back about the matchups, like I think that the players to watch out for next week would be Slushi, Porpoise, and like Xiao, because
we can expect
we
it's like you can expect Cali Trolls to play like a solid game no matter what, but like the fact that Slushi and Porpoise on
Vlad is a pool of blood, so would he be liquid?
No, he'd be Curse.
Goddamn.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll keep it going. Either way, Slushi and Porpoise have like extremely good synergy recently, and I don't see it just like falling off. So CLG is going to have to either counter it with just better map plays, or they're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it in team fights. Team 8 has played very strong team fights.
Let's just not team fight.
Please, you can hope, yeah.
That's what they've been trying to do. Like they've literally just been trying to wait it out and see whatever the others make a mistake and then out rotate.
And then like you move on to the Team Impulse game at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Impact solid.
Impact's been playing solid. Here's the thing. People have said for a while, like Xiao is an amazing farmer. He gets all these farm leads and is able to carry games, which is quite true. We saw, for example, last week, there was a game last week where he did not get a farm lead. He got pretty crushed. He was feeding. He looked bad. The rest of his team stepped up and won the game for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that team doesn't rely on that single player, and we're going to have to see something good.
Rush is playing super crazy.
I mean,
I thought he just gets slammed into the trash can after the first couple of weeks, but
there's the reason why was the top Korean jungler in the ladder.
Man,
that doesn't mean everything, but like there's always a probability of that meaning something. #Faker.
it might mean something. Thanks.
It might mean something. I mean, that's where Faker came from, and that's the gamble they were willing to take. They let him settle into the team, and it seemed to work.
You know who also came from Korea? Those two, I think it was Avalon, Imagine, and Paragon.
And you know who also weren't the top players in the current ladder there? Avalon, Imagine, and Paragon.
Hey, you know that Coast team who subbed in those 2 Diamond 3 Koreans? They totally did well, right?
You know which team was the one of the best teams in North America and still is? That was consisted of, when it was initially formed, of only top-tier challenger players? Cloud9.
Well, they're in the shitter right now, aren't they?
No, they're
third place.
Tied for third place.
They've lost like 4 games out of the last 5, right?
No, they're 5-2 in the second half.
Oh, what the hell?
They're not that bad.
Yeah, they're not bad. Don't worry about it.
Never mind then. I
Cloud9,
felt like they were getting...
Never underestimate Cloud9.
No, exactly. They're definitely a good team.
Okay, then. I stand corrected.
No, Cloud9 did play for other teams, but they had all played.
They weren't a cohesive unit. They were all individual pro players, but
yes. So this is a tough week for CLG is a good way to put it all, and it's definitely worth watching in my opinion, especially because it's the last week.
So moving on past the LCS.
Indeed.
CLG
Black
versus TDK. So I think that the insane like thing is that we're still in playoff contention. So if we beat TDK 2-0, and I think it was Fusion go 0-2, then we get enough points to just squeak by into the playoffs as the 4th seed. So
I think there's already been a game against TDK, right?
yeah.
They lost.
Well, there's always next split.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll figure that out. Anyway.
Yeah, but like this is actually being recorded on Tuesday because the Monday thing, my internet crapped out. So yeah, you guys can watch the Wednesday game too because I don't know.
Oh yeah, I forgot that TDK replaced much of their roster.
Yeah,
Alex,
they had like
and
Alex
RF
Yeesh
Legendary.
and RF Legendary. Oh, they took out Kina.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
sad.
contrary to popular belief, Seraph is no longer on TDK. A lot of people still think that he's not.
LOL Gamepedia, shame.
Yeah.
And then there are games in CS:GO next week too.
Okay, yeah, the CSGO games are also going to be on Faceit. They're going to be versus Elevate and Luminosity, I believe. So they're going to be fighting Luminosity again.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so they have a positive win rate versus both of them. They have a 1-0 record in favor of CLG against Elevate, and now with this game they have a 2-1 record versus Luminosity. So I want to see if Luminosity will come back next week to like kick CLG's butt. I've been told I should stop snapping at the screen. I just did it. Sorry. Okay. And since Azure disconnected, we don't have much information on the Halo. As far as I know, there's nothing on the HCS website, right?
I mean, one thing is actually right now in CS:GO, like as we're recording this, the Elevate game is going on.
Oh, right, that's right.
Yeah, that's
It's
happening.
on.
When this gets produced and is out there, it's gonna have already happened. I'm gonna say 16-0, 16-0. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll inform you guys up on the next episode. But as of right now, it's playing. So by the time you watch it, it'll probably be over, and somebody will probably have made a thread on the Reddit. That's okay. Anyway, Rip Azure.
Yeah, indeed.
Good talk.
Yeah, pretty much. So there isn't anything announced, or at least since Azure's gone, we don't really know what's announced for Halo. I don't think there's anything this coming week. The HCS stuff should be announced quite soon, and a kickoff tournament will also be announced quite soon. And like in conclusion, we've got an exciting week coming up, and you could have been disappointed by this week. Yeah, last week of LCS. Go buy some playoff tickets. If you want to hear or read rants, because I made a shit ton of rants this video, there's a lot of rants on the CLG subreddit in the comments. let's just say that.
All right.
And I think we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the episode, guys. Sorry about Azure.
Yeah, we'll make fun of him behind his back. Don't worry.
Yeah.